The galaxy had long whispered about Earth's silence. No war drums. No planetary conquests. No fleets of terror spilling from Sol. Humanity, that fragile, blue-speck species, had entered the stars with quiet diplomacy, open trade, and unnerving patience. Their colonies were small, their warships few, and yet every species that encountered them walked away with an odd unease. They were too calm. The Tlaran hierarchy, a species born in the stormy sulfur seas of Crixus, saw that calm as weakness. To them, power was loud, decisive, merciless. And when the humans refused to retaliate after multiple trade raids, the hierarch himself made the declaration. The ape creatures will kneel or vanish. Captain Marcus Hale stood on the bridge of the USV Resolute, staring through the viewport at the approaching Tlaran fleet. The alien ships moved like blades of molten metal, red ion trails cutting through the dark like veins of blood. Around him, his crew remained quiet. Too quiet. Fleet status? Hale's voice was steady, too steady for a man about to face annihilation. 3 destroyers, 1 carrier, all Tlaran, replied Lieutenant Dana Cross, her dark eyes flicking between holoscreens. They've locked weapons but aren't firing yet. They're waiting for us to panic. Let them wait, Hale said. Outside, the stars shimmered coldly. Inside, the humans waited in silence, each heartbeat measured, each motion deliberate. It was the kind of silence that had made the galaxy nervous, a species so controlled that even in the face of destruction, they did not flinch. The Tlaran fleet commander, Veldar Crix, hissed through the comms. His voice rasped like knives over glass. Human vessel, surrender your cargo and systems. You are trespassing in Tlaran space. This is neutral territory, Hale answered evenly. We're carrying medical aid for the Oryx colonies. You're in violation of Council Code 7.2. The weak have no codes. The transmission cut. Seconds later, the first plasma lance struck. The Resolute shuddered violently, lights flickered as energy shields rippled with molten heat. The crew moved like clockwork, calm faces under crimson emergency lighting. Hale gripped the rail, his knuckles pale, eyes unmoving. Return fire, he ordered. The Resolute's cannons lit up, spitting blue streaks into the void. But compared to the Tlaran barrage, their return was modest, defensive, controlled. Veldar expected panic, chaos, screaming orders through human mouths. Instead, the Terran ship moved like a surgeon's hand, efficient, methodical, precise. He sneered. Cold-blooded little mammals. They think stillness is strength. But deep in the shadows of Hale's ship, sealed behind armored bulkheads, lay something no alien intelligence had yet seen. A dark room. No lights. No hum of machinery. Just silence and a biometric lock labeled Project Silent Dawn. Hours passed. The battle raged on. By all tactical accounts, humanity should have broken. The Tlaran fleet had tripled their firepower, superior armor, and full command of the sector's relay gates. But the humans did not retreat. They absorbed. Every strike was countered. Every loss was compensated. And every death on their side was met with an eerie, wordless focus, the kind that came from soldiers who had seen something worse than death. Hale stood at the center of it, a calm eye in a burning storm. His voice cut through the chaos like cold steel. Engineering, maintain coolant balance. Dana, relay our trajectory to Fleet Command. They're not answering, sir. He nodded slowly, as if expecting it. Then we do what we always do. And what's that, Captain? Hale's lips curved faintly. We survive. Outside, the Tlaran ships drew closer, eager to end this charade of restraint. Veldar leaned forward in his throne, mandibles twitching in satisfaction. End it. No more games. Dozens of plasma torpedoes streaked through the void. The Resolute's shields collapsed. Metal screamed. Flames burst across the bow. The alien commander expected screams through the human calms. He expected begging. Instead, his sensors recorded silence. No surrender signals. No escape pods. No signs of retreat. Only a faint pulse of encrypted energy, a tight beam signal shot deep toward the Terran core. "Sir," said Hale quietly, watching the torpedo impacts, "authorization code Sigma 57, Dawn Protocol." Cross turned, face pale. "You mean?" He nodded. "They've drawn first blood again. The Council will know." The screen behind him flared with static, then cleared, revealing a woman in dark uniform, eyes like obsidian, Admiral Evelyn Carter, Supreme Commander of the United Terran Navy. "Captain Hale. We've received your transmission. Status? We're holding, for now." "Understood," she said softly. "You did well. Evacuate your wounded. Reinforcements are mobilizing." She leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping to a whisper, one not meant for alien ears. "Stay calm, Captain. The dawn hasn't risen yet." Then the screen went black. In the dark silence that followed, Hale's eyes reflected the burning stars outside. The Tlarans thought this battle was theirs. They believed human calm meant fear. But they had made a mistake, one that every ancient Earth history book warned about. Human calm was not weakness. It was containment. And when that containment broke, the galaxy would remember what true wrath looked like. The wreck of the USV Resolute drifted silently through the debris field, a broken silhouette backlit by a dying star. Metal floated like ash in zero gravity. The calm after slaughter. To the Tlaran commander Vaildar Krix, it was a beautiful sight. He stood before the viewing array of his flagship, the Vorthal, mandibles curling in satisfaction. His crew hissed in triumph as the last human distress beacon faded from sensors. "Mark the coordinates," Vaildar ordered. "Let this be recorded as the site of humanity's humility." But even as the words left his mouth, his sensors officer stiffened. "Commander, there's an incoming transmission." "From the Terrans?" Vaildar scoffed. "Let them beg." The officer hesitated. "No, sir. It's not a distress call. It's a signal repeating across subspace, encrypted beyond our decryption cores." The Tlaran's slit-pupiled eyes narrowed. "Describe it." "It's rhythmic. Precise. 3 pulses, pause. 3 pulses again." Vaildar froze. In Terran code, that was Morse. A dead, ancient human method of communication. 3 pulses. Pause. 3 again. SOS. Only, the humans weren't calling for help. They were marking the battlefield. And somewhere far across the galaxy, within the fortified orbit of Mars Command, the signal reached its destination. Inside the Terran High Fleet Command, Admiral Evelyn Carter stood before a wall of holographic projections, the Resolute's final logs flickering in ghostly blue light. The calm mask she wore was flawless, but the silence around her was suffocating. "Casualties?" she asked softly. "Full crew complement of 312, ma'am," replied Commodore James Whitlock, his voice low. "All presumed lost. No escape pods detected." Carter's jaw tightened, though her tone remained flat. "Transmission integrity?" "Confirmed. Code Sigma 57 authorized the trigger." The room fell into a quiet so deep it seemed to bend the air. Every officer knew what that meant. The calm was over. Carter exhaled once, slow and deliberate, then turned to the gathered command staff. "They've taken our silence for surrender. They've mistaken restraint for weakness." She looked up, and for the first time in years, her expression cracked, not into rage, but into something colder. "Send word to Titan Command. Activate Silent Dawn." No one spoke. There was no fanfare, no triumphant anthem. Just a silent confirmation. And across Sol's far colonies, buried installations came alive, massive black obelisks rising from beneath ice and soil, ancient and terrible. Their activation sent shockwaves through the void. Meanwhile, on the Vorthal, Vaildar's arrogance began to falter. His fleet had lingered too long, scavenging human wreckage, plundering debris for technology they barely understood. And now the stars themselves seemed to grow darker. "Commander," his navigation officer croaked, our long-range sensors are detecting gravimetric anomalies. Massive ones. Define massive. The officer's hands trembled. Equivalent to planetary mass, but they're moving. Before Veldar could respond, the viewport dimmed automatically to protect their eyes from the flash, a blinding, blue-white ripple tearing across the black. In the distance, dozens of human ships were emerging from slipspace. But these were not the frail patrol craft of the Terran diplomatic fleets. They were black-hulled, silent, their signatures ghosting between radar bands, ships that should not exist. Their hull markings bore no nation flags, only one symbol, a vertical line intersected by 3 short dashes, the mark of Project Silent Dawn. Each ship moved with the precision of a guillotine. Veldar felt his throat tighten. Those ships, they weren't on any records. No, sir. They're not transmitting identification codes. Then what are they transmitting? The officer swallowed. Nothing. Absolute silence. The Terran fleet turned to face them, plasma lances warming. But the human ships didn't fire. They simply advanced slowly, steadily, in complete coordination. No comms chatter, no visible propulsion bursts. It was as if they were ghosts drifting toward execution. Open a channel. Veldar hissed. I want to speak to their commander. Static answered. Then, through the static, a voice. Human. Come. You drew blood. It was Captain Marcus Hale. Veldar staggered backward, mandibles flaring. Impossible. His ship was destroyed. You mistook wreckage for death, Hale said, voice low and toneless. You mistook mercy for fear. You mistook silence for peace. A cold pulse rippled through the comms, an activation signal. We are done mistaking. The first human ship fired. No flash, no roar. Just a silent beam, invisible to the naked eye, that sliced through a Terran destroyer like vapor through ice. No explosions, no debris. The ship simply ceased. Veldar's bridge erupted into chaos. Shields. Fire everything. Dozens of plasma torpedoes streaked out, but they never reached their targets. The human vessels deployed counterfields that swallowed energy whole, returning nothing. The Terran commander watched, disbelief turning to primal fear, as one after another his ships vanished under the calm precision of human vengeance. Retreat, he screamed. Retreat to jump coordinates. But the slipspace gates were gone, consumed by the same silent weapons. In the void's black heart, Project Silent Dawn had begun. Back on Mars Command, Admiral Carter received the first field reports. Her voice remained steady, though her reflection in the glass trembled slightly, a sign no one dared mention. How long? She asked. 72 hours until full deployment, replied Commodore Whitlock. The Terran core fleets won't even have time to reposition. Carter nodded. Then this ends swiftly. Whitlock hesitated. Ma'am, if we proceed to Phase 2, there will be no coming back. Billions. I know. She turned to face him. Do you know why humanity stays calm, Commodore? He blinked. Because we learned control, ma'am? She shook her head slowly. No. Because once we stop being calm, there's nothing left to stop us. Her eyes turned toward the void beyond the viewport, where the first flashes of vengeance flickered across the black. Make sure they remember that, she whispered. Every species in the galaxy. Far beyond Mars, on the battlefield where the Resolute once floated, Captain Hale's voice faded into static. His ship, or what had become of it, disappeared into shadow. The last transmission intercepted by the Terran fleet read. You wanted to see our strength. You thought calm meant mercy. Now you'll understand, calm was the warning. And then the stars fell silent. The galaxy burned, but silently. Across 20 sectors, Terran fleets vanished without explosion or debris, consumed by unseen fire. Sensors recorded gravitational spikes and radiation traces with no known weapon signatures. Entire armadas simply ceased to exist, like drawings erased from the canvas of the stars. At first, the Galactic Council refused to believe it. Then, the transmissions began. Fragmented, intercepted signals. Footage of black Terran ships gliding through war zones, their hulls marked only with that same sigil, a vertical line and 3 short dashes. The mark of Project Silent Dawn, humanity's last doctrine. Mars Command, War Room. Admiral Evelyn Carter stood before a vast holographic map. Red sectors blinked out one by one, replaced by void black, the sign of sterilized systems. Around her, officers whispered but none dared question. Every strike was flawless. Every decision preemptive. Every order calm. But beneath that calm was something older, deeper, grief sharpened into precision. "Report," she said. Commodore Whitlock's voice was hushed. "Tlaran High Command has been neutralized. Their homeworld is unresponsive. No life signals." "Collateral?" He hesitated. "Total, ma'am." Carter didn't flinch. "Proceed to lockdown protocols. Recall all units within Terran border space." "Ma'am, we've gone too far already." The Council's demanding communication. Her gaze hardened. "Let them wait." Behind her, the room's lights dimmed as a signal came through, encrypted, one way. Captain Marcus Hale. His face was pale, lined with exhaustion, but his eyes burned with quiet intensity. "Admiral, the operation's complete. No resistance left. Awaiting new directives." "Status of your ship?" "Non-functional." "We're not entirely human anymore, ma'am." A heavy silence fell. Carter knew what that meant. The Resolute and its surviving crew had been the first to activate the Dawn cores, neural linking their consciousness into the ships themselves. No human could endure the strain for long. Their calm had been the only thing keeping their minds intact. "Permission to stand down, Admiral?" Hale asked softly. She exhaled. "Permission granted, Captain. You did your duty." His image flickered, then faded, not into static, but into a slow, white light, dissolving like mist. The Galactic Council, core world of Ithera. Panic had replaced politics. Representatives of over 40 species screamed across the chamber. Images of the human retaliation replayed on the holoscreens, silent annihilation, devoid of fury or chaos, just relentless precision. "The humans are monsters," shrieked the Itheran speaker. "They've wiped out an entire empire." "They never struck first," another delegate growled. "The Tlarans provoked them." "Provocation," the speaker hissed. "They destroyed 8 worlds." Then the chamber fell quiet. The holodisplay shifted, revealing a new transmission, a single human figure standing in front of the soul emblem. Admiral Evelyn Carter. Her uniform was immaculate, her posture rigid, her voice a steady whisper that somehow filled the hall. "Council representatives. This is not an act of conquest. This is the conclusion of arrogance." Her gaze swept the alien delegates like the slow arc of a blade. "For centuries, you watched humanity with suspicion. You saw our calm as fear. Our restraint as weakness. You never asked why we learned to be calm." She paused, and in that silence, every being in the chamber leaned forward, trembling. "We learned calm because we remember what happens when we're not." The hologram behind her changed, showing Earth's history: Hiroshima, Dresden, the World Wars, nuclear fire consuming cities. Then the stars' wars of expansion, colonial collapse, civil wars in space. Humanity had burned itself over and over until only discipline could save it. We became calm because our rage nearly ended us. We built silence into our nature, forged control into our bones. We learned that peace is not weakness, it's a leash we put on our own extinction. Her tone softened, yet carried weight like gravity. "You broke that leash." The room was still. Even the translator drones didn't hum. "We will withdraw now. We will not conquer. But understand this, if humanity ever stops being calm again, there will be no dawn left for anyone." Then the transmission ended. The aftermath. The war was over before most species even realized it had begun. The Terran fleets, those black, silent ghosts, vanished back into slipspace, never to appear again. The Tlaran worlds remained silent tombs, untouched, glowing faintly under shattered suns. And in the centuries that followed, a quiet legend spread through the stars, whispered in the dark corners of cantinas, carried in hushed tones among fleet academies and councils. Never break the human calm. Because somewhere, in the deep quiet of soul-shadowed colonies, Project Silent Dawn still waited, dormant, patient, listening. 1 year later, Earth. A storm rolled across the Atlantic coast. Rain battered the cliffs where Evelyn Carter stood, now retired, her uniform long shed. She watched lightning ripple across the sea, listening to the low thunder that followed, nature's calm between fury. Behind her, a young officer approached. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "the council's rebuilding. They're asking if we'll send aid." Carter smiled faintly, a sad ghost of a smile. "Of course we will." The officer frowned. "After what they did?" She turned to him, eyes old, heavy with centuries of restraint. "Because that's what they'll never understand," she said softly. "We don't stay calm for them. We stay calm for us." She looked back toward the storm, voice barely audible under the rain. "Because when the calm ends, we end with it." The thunder rolled again, deep, distant, final. And across the void, in the dark silence of an uncharted sector, a single Terran beacon pulsed faintly among the stars. 3 dots. 3 dashes. 3 dots. SOS. Not a call for help. A reminder that the silence was only sleeping.